So we did the template yesterday. Let's go further now. I'll create a new project, create React app, project 4. So today we'll see how to transfer the variable from one component to another component. So that's what our aim is. Okay, let's see. This is my project 4. So we'll start the new project and then we'll, okay, it's already created now. Now let me delete all the unnecessary files here. I don't need test or app.test.js. This one, CSS, I don't need right now. So I'll delete those files right now. In the app.js, I'll try to remove unwanted lines of the code. And this is something, my basic skeleton. I will put some hello world in the app.js, and in the index.js, I'll remove index.css. Okay, so this is my base structure. Let me go to project 4. And I'll say npm start. That will start the project. So it is saying hello world here. Let's go to the console log. We don't have any errors here in the console.log, so that means everything is fine. Now I will create two components, more components. One is called the main.js. Another component I will create is called as user.js. And then I will open the main.js and user.js. In the main.js, I will put a component. I'll create a component. And in the user also, I will create a component. So for the user, I will rename it to user. And for the main, I will rename it to main. I created two components. One is main and one is a user. Now I'll call these two components in my app.js. So here I will say main. I'll say main. The user, I will say user. So I just say user. Now I will call these two components in the app.js. Hello, hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Sorry I'm a little late.
Okay, so I created a new project and the app.js, I just put hello world and I created two components. One is called main.js with some word main, and I created another component user.js with the text user. Now I will call these two components main.js and user.js in the app.js. So let's call these two components here. So I will say, first I will import them. Import main from main.js, import user from user.js. So if I want to use main component, I will use the main here. I can use main component here. And I can use user component. Okay, no. You should not see black screen. Okay, Kate, are you able to see properly?
Yeah.
So
I am okay.
Okay, maybe Carrie, you just log out and log in again. Maybe it's some problem
I'll
on.
log out, log in.
Yeah. So I will put the user part here. So I put the two components and I put it in the app.js. This is the first component. This is the second component. Let's put HR tag between the both the components so that I should differentiate between the both components. This is a horizontal rule. And if I go to now, yeah, so if you see main is there, then HR tag line is there, horizontal rule, and then user component is there. Can you see now, Carrie? How about now?
Much better.
Much better means still not good, right?
Oh, it's perfect now. It's perfect.
Okay. So I created two components, main.js, user.js. Main has the text of main, user has the text of user. I call both these components here in my component, and you can see here component. Now I will create one variable here in the app component. Let's create the variable here. So if I want to create the variable in this page, that variable will be applied only to this page. I cannot take that variable to another page. There are some ways to take that variable to another page, but I will keep the variable in this page only. So let's do it. Now, in the React, we have to create the constructor. Constructor is a function which will be automatically called when this class is loaded. You know, when this class is called or when this page is loaded, this constructor will be automatically called. So we don't have to call specifically by any code. This is the default function which is called whenever this class is called or whenever this page is loaded or when app is loaded, then constructor will be automatically called. So this is constructor, and it is called automatically when app is loaded. Now in this I have to pass one parameter called as props. You don't have to worry about why you have to pass the props. Just remember you have to call the props. And in the constructor, one line should be always present, will be super props. Super means something inside the component, because super means parent and parent is a component. So we call some function from the component and I'm passing the parameter. This is parameters. This is called props. This parameter is passed to the super function. You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to understand anything in this. Just remember that constructor is called, and in the constructor we call the super props. This is always we will use this way. So you don't have to think, oh, what should I call, whether constructor or some different name. So you don't have to worry. We will do all the components and we will create this constructor most of the time. you will remember these 3 lines of the code. So these 3 lines of the code are compulsory to be called in all the React project whenever we want to create the variables. Now, how to create the variables? Now, there are 2 things in the React. One is called the state, another is called a props. You can create the variable in the state. And you can update the variable in the state. So you can create it, you can empty the variable, make it null, you can update it. So you can do various things in the state. In the props, you cannot create the variable. You only get variables from somewhere. So props are something where you only use the variable for showing the data. You cannot update the variable in the props. It's only for showing the data. No update allowed. No insert allowed. Only carry data from one place to another. Showing. So this is the difference between the two. State, you can create a variable, you can update it. With the props, you cannot create a variable. You get variable from somewhere, and it is only for the showing purpose. No update allowed, no insert allowed. Only move data from one place to another is allowed. So this is the difference between the two. Now we'll see how exactly it works. Now here in the constructor which I created, I will create a state. So how to create the state? How to create the state? To create the state, I will say this dot state is equal to object. That is curly bracket start, curly bracket end. And this object, we can put n number of variables. Example, if I want to say username, I will put many. I created one variable inside the state. It is called the username, and it has the value of many. I can create another variable also. For example, age 43. So now I created 2 variables, and I initialize the variables with some value. I can also say null, but here I am saying this variable has this value, this variable has this value in the beginning as the page loads. Now, if I want to show this variable here in the div tag, so for example, I can create h1 tag, and I will put h1 tag. Now I want to show this variable username and age here in the template. I can say this dot state dot username, and I can say again this dot state dot age. When I say this dot state dot username, it will take this username and it will display it, and it will take this age, it will display it here. So it is displaying like this. So what I did, I created the constructor, I created the super function, and I did not create it. I called the super function and I passed the props inside it, and then I created the state with 2 variables, and I'm showing both the variables here. I can also do console.log of the state. This dot state. Let's see what is coming inside the state. You will see username and age is coming in the state. So I can also do state. I can say state is, it will say state is username and age. So what I have to do, another task is now, I have to send this username and age to both these components, main and user. So let's see how to send this username and age to this component. and how to use these values. So now first I will send it to this component. So to send the variable to this component, I will pass the parameter like this. Here I will say user, I'm just putting user1 equal to, and which value I want to send? I want to say this dot state dot username. I will just say like this. That means we are sending the variable this dot state dot username to this component, and when I go to this component, I can access the variable using this value because we are saving this into a new value name that is called this one, user1. So whenever if I want to access this user value, I will use this keyword to access the username. I cannot use username in the users component because username is only for this component, and I am passing to another component with the name of the user1. I can also pass it as a username. Then I can access it with the variable called a username. So let's use the username now, and then we will change it to user1 or user2. So I will pass the username, this username, state username, to the component user with the key of the username. And I will also pass the age. And age also I will say this dot state dot age. I am passing both the variables to the component user. Let's say pass same thing to the main also. We will pass to main also. I will say username equal to this dot state dot username, and I will also pass age equal to this dot state dot age. So now both the components are getting both the variables. Now let's go to each component and see how we can use these variables in that component. So I'll go to the main.js. Now in the main.js, I will create some template. I will say h1 main page, and then maybe I will create the input box, input type equal to text. Right now I will not put any value. I'll just create a text, and here I will say maybe p tag, and I'll say username. Username, whatever username will come, I will put it in this input box, and I will close the p tag. Same thing, I will create another p tag with age, and whatever age will come, I will update this with this text box. So now if I see, I will see this main page. This is in the app.js. Let me write down in the app.js. So this one is in the app.js. So I'm saying app.js many 43. Now this is the main page, and in the main page I created some h1 tag and two text boxes with username and age. Now let's see how we can get the username from here. From here, I'm passing it here. So username is defined here, but I need to pass this username to the main page. So in the main page, we can access the variables which are passed from here with the keyword of this dot props dot username or this dot props dot age. So this is the way I can get the variables. It should always be appended with the this dot props. So if I want to put the value, I can say value equal to this dot props dot username. And here I can say value equal to this dot props dot age. So this one will get the value of username. This one will get the value of age. And these two things are coming from where? It is coming from app.js. And here we are passing both the values to another page. So you will see username is populated with many, age is populated with the 43. There is some error. Okay, this error we will fix now in some time. Now let's say if I don't pass age, won't get age because age should be passed from app.js to the main one. So if I pass it, then only I can get it. Now let's show this username and age in the users component. So I will go to the users component, and here I will say h1 tag users page, user page, h1 tag close, and here I will say username is, I will say this dot ops dot username. I'm displaying only, no input box. I will create another line. Age is this dot props dot age. Thus I'm displaying it, no input box. You will see here I'm displaying username is many, age is this. In the app.js, I'm displaying the variable. In the main page, I'm displaying the variable in the text box. And here I'm displaying the variable in the user page. So this is how we pass the variable from the app.js to the main and users page. From the app.js, we create the variable and we pass to different components. Remember one thing, in React, we create the variable at the top level, that is in the app.js, and then we pass the variable to the lower level. And if we want to edit the variable, we have to edit the variable in the top level, and then lower level will automatically update it with the new value. In Angular, what we were doing, we were able to change here only in the user page only or in the main page, we were able to edit many and 43, and it was reflecting all over the places. But in React, even if I edit here, it has to be mainly edited in the app.js. I cannot really change the variable in the main page, because in the main page, if you see, we are using props. And as per definition, we cannot change the value of props. That means in the main, though props is there, we cannot change the value of the props. Props will always remain like a constant. It will not change the value. So though in the main page we have the variable, though we will change here, ultimately it has to change in the app.js, and then it will be reflected in both the places. In Angular, we were able to change from here also, and this was getting changed. So in React, it is not like that. In React, always the top level is edited, and bottom people will always get the value from the top level. So you cannot edit it here. You have to somehow edit it here so that all the pages can get the new value. So this is the difference between Angular and the React. React goes from one level only. It's a unidirectional. You cannot edit here. You cannot edit here. You cannot edit here. You can edit only here in the app.js, and then all the components will get the new value. So this is the difference. So what we did today, I will recollect everything. I created the app.js. I created two components, main and the user. In the main, I created two fields, username and age, and they are getting values from the app.js. In the user component, I just displayed the value of the username and age. In the app.js, I created the variable by creating the constructor. Then I create the this.state with the two values. And these values are passed to the main component and the user component. And when the value goes to the main component, it is displayed here using the this.props.username. Here we cannot use this.state. We can only use this.props. And then this value will be coming from app.js, because I am passing these values to the another page. Any questions on these three topics? Main.js, user.js, app.js. We will see how to update the variable, but right now we are just displaying it. Any questions which you did not understood in the app.js, main.js, or user.js?